Hello, it's Monday, and I got the beast monster right behind me. Oh, it's been so restless today. I don't know what is with the dog. Sometimes, some days she's just chilled, and other days she's just restless. And today was one of her restless days. I have walked her, played with her, given her chew stuff, and she's still wanting to wrestle around. This is the calmest she's been in a while. I have discovered something about Trinity, though. Because, the few times I've gotten kind of angry or upset when I'm doing some of these videos, she always distracts me. And she always tries to snap me out of whatever mood or funk I'm in because she's just picks up on my moods. And she just, if I get too angry or I'm upset, she'll do something real random and silly that, look at her, she's looking at me right now, random and silly that'll get me out of my funk. So last night I was trying to watch a movie. And it was a really good movie. It was oh God, what was the name of it? It was a little independent film. Anyway, it was very intense and kind of sad. And I just started tearing up because it was good. It was a foreign film from the Consequences. That was the name of it, from Slovakia. And it got really intense and really sad at one point, and I just started tearing up. And the dog, immediately comes to my side and is looking at me, trying to make sure I'm okay. And I'm totally distracting me from the film, that I was riveted to the film. But she was not going to let me watch it because it was upsetting me. So I paused the movie. I played with her, calmed her down. She knew I was okay. Go back to the movie, and I again totally get involved and totally get upset. And she did it again. This dog will not let me be in a bad mood. So this is why I love the Trinity. Yes, look at her with her tongue sticking out back there. So she is my constant companion and my mood checker. She will not let me be in a bad mood. Isn't that right, Trinity? Do you want to say anything right now to anybody? No, you're just going to look cute. I was going to talk about the Trump interview with Mike Wallace that I watched today. Yeah, I mentioned the name and he lunged at the camera. She's not a fan of Trump. She's got good taste. Anyway, I watched that. It was like watching a bizarre Twilight Zone episode. I mean, he just is not dealing with a full deck. Talk about paranoia. And then just this narcissism. And then he didn't look that good either. But then he couldn't get his facts straight, and he had to have his press secretary getting papers. If you have not had a chance to watch it, it almost looks like a bad Saturday Night Live skit, except it's the president. Not good. Sad for our country. I cannot. It's interesting because I was reading all the comments, because I watched on YouTube, and it's with Fox News, and there's always comments loving the president, blah, blah, blah. There was a lot of comments that were like, what's wrong with him? Something's up with him. He didn't look good. He sounds strange. Normally, it's, whenever a YouTube posting of the president's up, the majority of the comments are his supporters that go nuts on the page and talk about, snowflakes, being the Democrats. They are so sensitive about their president. They're the real snowflakes. They get so insulted if anybody criticizes the president. They just freak out. It's like, I think you're really the snowflakes, guys. But anyway, most of the comments on the page were people kind of going, something's wrong with him. And then shocked at some of the comments that he had. We had two beautiful world wars. I thought they were pretty horrendous. But he mentioned them as beautiful. And then he said, when are the viruses going to go away? And then Chris Wallace was trying to explain to him, well, it doesn't seem like it's going to happen. He said, well, one day it will be. And then later he said, well, eventually it will happen, and I'll be proven right when eventually it happens. Oh, I know he's gotten off his rocker, but he's getting worse. And you had the feeling at the end of the interview that Trump thought he probably did really well in that interview. And it's like, oh no, sweetie, you bombed this interview. Totally bombed this interview. And you look like a fool. An incompetent fool. And scary because you're so paranoid. I mean, this paranoia, people are out to get him, and that the reason they're closing the schools is so that it can affect the November elections, and then not sure of whether he would be admitted defeat. And woo, it was like a cray-cray interview. And I'm glad Chris Wallace, the guy I was interviewing, was not giving the president a pass. He was challenging him and calling him out on the camera with facts and so on, and even handouts at one point. And, you know, he wasn't spineless. That's always my complaint of a lot of people that are interviewing the president. The president will say something totally false and they'll let him get away with it. And Chris Wallace was challenging him on the spot, not letting the president give his BS answers, making the president kind of like mumble and stumble through the president was not expecting somebody to challenge him. And it wasn't that Chris Wallace was being malicious at it. He was just, whenever Trump spotted something that was false, he was being clocked right there on camera. Finally, somebody had the gumption to do it, because that's what needs to happen. These interviewers have become such wussies that they won't challenge the president, or when he does not answer the question, say, "You're not answering the question." They treat him with such reverence that they let him get away with half the shit that he does. And here was Chris Wallace. He was not going to have it. He wasn't being mean about it. He was just a fair interviewer, and he did his job. So good for Fox News. Finally, they're doing news. So, Chris Wallace, kudos to you. Wow. Now we need to make sure NBC and ABC follow suit, because sometimes you just kind of go, oh, come on. There was an obvious misstatement and you're not calling it out. I'll have to say Martha Raddatz on ABC News does not let people get away with lies. She will call them out too. So that's why I admire her a lot too. Anyway, those are my thoughts on the Chris Wallace interview. It's a must-see. You have to see it. It's entertaining in a weird way, because those 40 minutes flew by in that interview, because it was just like watching a train wreck. And it just fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. And I'm sure Trump thinks he did well in that interview, because that's the impression I got. But my God, it's the emperor has no clothes. The emperor has no clothes. Wow. Anyway, COVID, of course, continues being on the front page news here in North Texas and in Dallas, because it's bad. I don't have anything else to add to it. So be sure to wear your mask. So if you like this video, subscribe. Ring the bell for notifications for future videos. But please do subscribe. I really want to get my numbers up to 70. I'm getting so close. I want 70 subscribers. So if you've seen more than 2 of these videos, just go ahead and subscribe right now. And then if you watch this tonight, have a good evening. If you watch tomorrow, have a great morning or good afternoon, whenever you watch it. And wear those masks.